Some conservatives are not happy with Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett. The backlash emerged after Barrett joined Chief Justice John Roberts and the court's three liberal judges to reject President Donald Trump's attempt to freeze nearly $2 billion in foreign aid. The decision, viewed by many as a procedural one, has fueled a bit of a debate with conservatives. Some bashing Justice Barrett. Others say it's not fair, emphasizing Barrett's significant conservative record. Is it much to do about nothing, or does Coney Barrett have to worry about Donald Trump and his strongest supporters? Let's bring in Roshini Rajkumar, an attorney, political strategist, and host of the Crisis Files podcast. Good morning, Roshini. How are you?
Good morning, Kevin. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you as well. The Supreme Court is always fascinating to me because there's so much talk, every time a new justice is named, and what is the lean of the court and the slant of the court. And right now we have a conservative court. Donald Trump appointed three Supreme Court justices in his first term. But then that doesn't mean that all of the decisions by the Supreme Court go the way you might think they do. Like every decision is going to be of a conservative nature. That's not the case.
Absolutely. And who I really wish would take a nap are these people that criticize Supreme Court justices for following the Constitution and their understanding of case law and statutes. And that's exactly what Justice Coney Barrett did. So I really have a hard time with people that are now trying to make, or have been for a while, the Supreme Court of the United States and the judicial branch political. It is not political. And what we never want is for that branch to become political, because we have seen so many bad politics in the executive branch and the legislative branch. So the framers way long ago, wrote that Constitution, and they divided it up. And Article 3 outlines the courts, the federal courts, the Supreme Court, and then all the courts, the lesser courts under them. So it is really a mistake for anyone to specifically criticize Justice Coney Barrett in this situation. It's a mistake to get into some kind of narrative that certain justices are going the way of the president. The judges are in their cloistered place discussing and deciding. They're not thinking about who the president is. At least they should not be. And I think we've seen some decisions from all of the justices where they've voted in different ways or ruled in different ways than you might think if you just rate them or judge them based on the president who appointed them.
Yeah, the role of the Supreme Court, they're supposed to look at the Constitution and literally, word for word, if they have to, break it down and how it applies today, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking at Section 2 of Article 3. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under the Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made. So all of those things, the justices are not all of a sudden saying, oh, this is wrong, or whatever's in front of me is wrong because I'm more conservative or I'm more liberal. That's just not what they do, nor is it what they should do. Now, when a president appoints appoints a Supreme Court justice, of course they're going to probably pick from a pool that their side of the aisle is saying would be more favorable to us, quote unquote, us, whichever side of the aisle it is. But when justices get in that place, or any judge at any level, and I've talked to many both privately, because as you know, I am a licensed attorney, some of my law school classmates and mentors are judges in state and federal systems all over the country. I've talked to judges, I've interviewed judges on my shows, and hands down, they say, we are looking at the letter of the law. Of course, we let what's going on around us, meaning just world and mores of the times. An 1800s Supreme Court is going to rule differently on a similar set of things than a 2025 Supreme Court. But that really just goes with everything. They are looking at the law. They're looking at previous case law. They're looking at their own, how they ruled. And what we also have to remember, Kevin, is the Supreme Court is an appellate court. It's not a court that's deciding the facts. That's for the lower courts to decide. So the Supreme Court is really judging the law and coming down on the law. So when it says the president overreached and now needs to immediately release these funds to these various agencies, it's going with the laws that are on the books. It's not creating new stuff.
These justices are also human beings, and today's justices have to deal with social media, so they may hear more commentary than justices in decades past, who maybe there's a news story here and there. Do you think they are not on any social media? Well, we know some are, but do you think they turn that off? Do you think they can be influenced by that, or do they, when they get into into their workspace, they are just locked in and focused on what they're supposed to be doing?
They're not looking at social media to help them decide any decision at all. And most of the judges I know, in fact, all the judges I know, I don't know any of the Supreme Court judges personally, but all of the federal and state court judges I know do not have social media handles. Even the most kind of business-friendly handle on LinkedIn, they don't have profiles, even on LinkedIn, which is seen as a more business place than just a place of opinion. So they're not looking at social media. Oh, what did the state of Michigan think on this ruling that came out of Michigan lower courts? No, they're not doing that. I guarantee they're not doing that. So there might be some, and we've seen some, take their own explanation of things if they want to, maybe do their own little education. I mean, I'm sure their colleagues are not asking them to do that, but if they do that, that's of their own resort. We know RBG was pretty vocal and out there and had a presence of her own and became quite a figure. But for the most part, that judicial branch, and they get to be in that role for for life or good behavior. And
Right.
so most of the time you see they either die or retire. That's how that job ends for them. So they really answer to no one once they were in that office, in that position.
And that's the way it should be. Roshini Rajkumar, attorney, political strategist, and host of the Crisis Files podcast. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin.